Customer centricity was highlighted as the number one challenge for customer experience executives in a recent survey carried out by the Customer Management Exchange. Why do you feel that this is?
I think there's two reasons, both serious answers, though one sounds like it isn't. I think one of the challenges with customer centricity is the term customer centricity. Our business is filled with jargon, and since we're involved, for the most part, in trying to deliver a great customer experience through all other functions, the very use of terms like customer centricity kind of turns off the rest of the organisation and undermines our own credibility. That's one point, but I think it's actually quite important, having done this for a few years and faced some of that scepticism. The other reason is much deeper. Unless every fibre of every individual within an organisation is tuned in to meeting the requirements and the changing requirements of our customers, then it's unlikely that those customers are going to receive the kind of experience that they expected because the brand told them that's what they'd get, and that makes them happy, and that therefore means they're going to return. Customer experience is, as we all know, a series of contacts with a company. It could be the website or the call centre. It could be when they purchase the product, walk into the store, stay in the hotel, and then afterwards as well, either follow-up marketing or perhaps making a complaint. Those are lots of different links in the chain, and customers are extremely sensitive to any link that kind of stands out from the rest, either better or obviously particularly worse, and if anything doesn't match what the brand suggested they would receive. Given that there are so many potential points at which the experience can break down, particularly in service businesses that tend to operate 24/7, 365 days a year through so many different people, clearly getting the whole organisation to focus on a shared vision of what that customer experience should be, and understanding what that translates into for them in their day-to-day job is fundamentally important. And I can't think of too many more critical challenges for business today. If that's what we define as customer centricity, then I guess that's why it's so important.
Where do you feel enterprises could realise the quickest gains in creating a customer-centric culture?
I don't believe this is a quick gain business, because we're involved in a process of change. What I mean by that is if customer requirements evolve, and in some cases, in some markets, very, very quickly driven by technology, if new competitors change the rules of how we need to compete, lots of examples of that, smaller, more agile companies challenging the big boys. If all of those things keep driving change, then we as organisations have to respond. And as we all know, getting people to change their behaviour is a really tough thing to do. Change it and then stick with it. I mean, only ask somebody who joined a gym at the beginning of the year how long they actually went to the gym for. It's really tough, and we wanted to do that, even paid the membership fee. And therefore, it tends to take time. Where I would invest, there are obviously the physical illustrations to a customer, the things that bring it to life. So redeveloping a product, redeveloping a service, and focusing a lot of attention in a very small area, holding the torch really low to the surface so you get an intense beam. The smaller the initiative, but the more important it is to the customer, the more progress you can make quickly. So introducing and launching a product, evolving an existing product is probably a good example. Anything that requires us to help an organisation made up of people to change takes longer, takes time, but ultimately is probably where the most sustainable advantage, competitive advantage lies, because it's a really hard thing to do. Easy to say, hard to do, and much more difficult to imitate.
One of the challenges organisations link with customer centricity is demonstrating the ROI of customer experience. What would you say are the basic starting points in being able to achieve this?
For customer experience professionals, I think the absolute prerequisite for our credibility and for our earned authority, is a term we've been hearing a lot at the conference, earning your spurs, deserving to be listened to, is to develop the skill set and the knowledge. And that means developing financial skills. It means developing operational capability and operational skills so that we know the things of which we speak and can speak authoritatively about it. Clearly, as we seek to re-engineer a customer experience, there will be costs involved. Sometimes we can take cost out, sometimes we're building cost in. That requires us to put together a very robust business case to earn the investment that we require. And that means finding a way to quantify what it will mean to the business financially, the costs and the returns. So we have to be creative about the way we try to quantify those business benefits. We have to work closely with the finance people to understand how they think about it and how they would approach it. That's probably the quicker way rather than take an MBA in finance. I'll give you an example though of a different way of approaching it. When I was at Hilton, I spent quite a lot of time thinking about how I could demonstrate the incremental business gain, sales, to be derived from incremental improvements in customer satisfaction. In the end, it proved to be almost impossible to do, certainly to the point where anybody would actually believe me anyway at the board level. So we turned the thinking around. If we couldn't prove what the gain from improving satisfaction was, maybe we could prove beyond doubt the cost of losing customers due to dissatisfaction. Just 180 degrees, different way of looking at the same thing. And we followed customers, metaphorically speaking, our members of our loyalty scheme who had filled out a satisfaction questionnaire and said they probably or definitely would not return. Well, did they? Didn't they? We tracked their behavior for about an 18-month period, 2,000 of them, and we discovered that a percentage of them did not come back, and it was quite a big percentage. They did what they said they would do. They went somewhere else. We were able to translate that into revenues lost. We were able to add in the cost of replacing those people through marketing into the business. And it added up to a fairly princely sum. And this was caused by things we were doing or failing to do in our day-to-day operations. Now that figure was inarguable and became a very powerful way of transforming the conversation at board level. So we just have to be more creative about the way we approach this stuff.
Taking this one step further, what do you feel the major trends will be for the customer experience community in the next 2 to 5 years?
Well, things are moving so fast. I think one of the key trends has to be that customer experience professionals become more professional at managing customer experience. I referred to it a few moments ago. I think one of the absolute trends has to be that if we are to be more authoritative at boardroom level, we have to become business people with a strong appreciation of the nuts and bolts of our business. That's the financial levers, the operational levers, what happens in HR. Because if you're going to impact customer experience, you have to understand and be able to influence all parts of the business. So this is really not a specialist role, it's a generalist role. And I think the key trend is if we're going to do this stuff properly, we need to start talking like business people, not people operating in a small silo called customer experience. I think that's critical. I think the other one driven by outside forces is the advent, understanding, and then response to social media and the ability of customers to talk freely to us, just as importantly, about us. Somebody said in a quote, which I love, that the advent of the internet and social media in particular put customer experience and customer conversations on steroids. And if we screw up, not only will we know about it, everybody will know about it. Well, I disagree with that actually. To tell you the truth, we might not know about it in the company because sometimes the conversations are happening and we're not even keyed into them, we're not involved. So I think companies will have to get a lot smarter at responding to something we've all been asking for years. We want more dialogue with our customers. We want more of a relationship. Well, we've got it now. The trouble is, organizationally, many companies simply aren't geared up to being able to respond to that, and they need help to do so.
The management of change is a recurring theme. Why do you feel that this is?
It's a recurring theme because any organization that's seeking to evolve its customer experience requires that people do something differently. At the most basic level, I spent a lot of my career in hotels. If you're being checked in by wee Jenny or wee Jim on a Monday morning and you want it to be better, than the experience they received on Friday, something's got to happen over the weekend which gets them to change the way they act, change their behavior. Now imagine that spread across 500 hotels, 3 shifts, 20 languages, etc., etc., etc. Getting people to change their behavior in a way that's sustained, in a way that's focused to achieve an improved customer experience. The customer experience we're probably going to go out and tell our customers about through our brand advertising and encourage them to come to our product as a result of, it's got to be delivered with consistency and dependability. It's not much of a brand promise to say now available in 50% of our outlets because we're not really in control of it. It's not much of a brand promise, but for many people that's the brand reality that they experience. Getting people to change their behavior is a critically important challenge, and one which I think many organizations have yet to grasp. How many organizations do you know that have a change management function? This is a big area, it takes a lot of resource and it takes expertise. It's a specialized area, managing change effectively. Yet in most cases, in my experience, people are asked to kind of do it in their spare time. They don't have the time, they don't have the resource, and they don't have the expertise. I think it's time that we grew up a little and realized that if we're going to manage change, we need to do it effectively by hiring people who know what they're doing.
And finally, who is your hero and why?
As a drummer, John Bonham, but I don't think that's really what you're asking. My hero is a guy who recruited me to become CMO of Hilton. I worked with him for several years. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, died prematurely, but he's one of the most charismatic and inspiring leaders of change in the area of customer experience I've ever seen. He was the chief executive of Hilton International. His name's Anthony Harris. And he inspired that organization to believe in doing something better for the customer, carrying forward the mantle of Conrad Hilton, who started the business. And he created the space for me to go and do what I did over 8 years, which was, together with my team and with the wider Hilton team, take Hilton to #1 in every international market. And he just had a great touch for people, a great level of humanity, and an unwavering belief that people can do something better if they're just inspired and given the opportunity. And it was proven, because after he died, the objectives he set for us came to fruition and Hilton went to #1 everywhere. He's my hero.